We love to see it. Hello, all you Bi-Conics Wrestling nerds out there, and welcome to another live stream edition here at the Bi-Conics YouTube channel. Oh, also all over the other places on Twitters and the Twitch, and pretty much anywhere else we can connect ourselves to. But welcome to another Grapple Gurus live stream review. This time, the TNA boys are here, and we are going to be reviewing and covering TNA's rebranded in 2024, their first pay-per-view of the year, Hard to Kill 2024. I am Mikey, also known as El Jefe around these parts, and joining me is the rest of the Takedown Troop, our TNA review crew. First and foremost, you can also find him all over as my partner in crime over on the NXT reviews. We have Will. I can't wait to talk about it. Thanks for being here, my friend.
Of course. Very excited.
And to my right, you can find him not only doing the TNA reviews and popping up sometimes for AEW as well, but you can also find him alongside myself and our other lovely co-hosts over at the Ring of Honor reviews. Andrew, I'm so excited you are here. Thank you for being here.
Oh, heck yeah, I wouldn't miss it. I've been pumped for this for a few months.
This is great. Proverbially speaking, I'm so happy to get them to do their first pay-per-view stream. This is going to be my third because I do everything around these parts. But that's neither here nor there. I'm trying to calm myself down because I thought the adrenaline left my system when I went to sleep after we got done watching Hard to Kill, and then putting everything together and looking at my notes, the adrenaline is back once again. Because before we dive into every single match, we're far enough into the live stream. This pay-per-view kicked ass so much.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Holy crap. Just from the pre-show and then the beginning part before we got to the first official match, which we'll talk about with Eric Young, like that got to me. And there was not a singular match that I didn't like on this card. Even the one I was like, all right, this might be my pee break match, ended up being a lot funner than it should have been.
Yeah, I tried to pick a low point for this card and I could not think of one.
Nope.
And for those of you who are like, what's TNA? Trust me, go watch this pay-per-view. It is a good jumping in point because it's about to get crazier for here in 2024. And not only are we going to talk about the matches, we're going to talk about some of the announcements and the new signees that we got throughout the whole entire night. Oh, I can't wait to talk about the final one at the end of the show. I'm so pumped. This one's going to be so good. All right. Without further ado, we talked enough. Let's just jump straight into it. Hard to Kill 2024 is coming from Las Vegas, of all places, at the Palms, which is crazy for TNA to have a big venue like that. And Hard to Kill opens up on the Countdown show, where we begin with our opener match, the first match of TNA of 2024. And this was a singles match, Rich Swann versus Steve Macklin. I'm going to be completely honest, this match rolled. And normally, I'm so trained with the pre-shows to like not give us good quality wrestling, and I was not disappointed with all the matches we got on the Countdown.
Yeah, this match, it felt, like I said when we were watching the actual match itself, it felt like it could have been like a main event of a weekly, or the weekly Impact shows, but it was a good, fun match. It was more exciting than I might have expected it to be. Both of them are really good, but it was fun. It was a good opener.
I think our consensus for a lot of the matches are going to be like, this match slapped, or this match ruled, or this match kicked ass, or this match was that. Yeah, I thought it was a great opener. I thought Swann and Macklin both performed beautifully and exactly as I would hope for. I have to say, I guess not just for us watching, but I think for the performers, the wrestlers themselves, the idea that this is the first pay-per-view under the TNA banner, I think you could feel everyone was super energized. and it really came out in all the matches, even the ones that I thought were going to be. The electricity was incredible, and this one started our night off great. I was like, okay, if this is it, then this is going to be amazing.
This match was so good. Shout out to Rich Swann for his Flash Funk inspired ring gear, was so good. I love this. And shout out to the crowd at the Palms for this pay-per-view too. A crowd can make or break a pay-per-view experience, especially for those of us watching at home. Shout out to the Vegas crowd, man, because they killed it and they were invested the whole entire time. Also, anybody who was there and is watching this, can you send us some of those hand towels? I want a TNA towel. I want one so bad.
I do too.
That's where our Patreon money is going to go to buy us TNA towels.
I'll take the one that Josh Alexander wiped his face on.
Okay.
Sell that for money or just frame it in your house somewhere.
Just put it in my house somewhere.
Into the pillowcase.
Yeah. There you go.
I love it.
Hand towel again.
It's so good. And you know what? Rich Swann is always a reliable talent to have. He always pulls it out. Steve Macklin is also really good too. And I'm happy to see that Steve Macklin picked up the victory here because, again, as commentary pointed out on the Countdown show, this was only really his third match that's coming back from injury, which was crazy to me. I was like, whoa, I forgot. And I'm so happy he's back. We're going to pray to the wrestling gods that the injury bug stays out of the way for the most of 2024 because I'm ready for Macklin to start making his way back up into the title picture. Just like we'll talk about his eternal rival in Josh Alexander making that same path there. So this was really cool. So after this match, we got a couple of things before we get to our tag team match. So first, got an introduction to the newest faction in TNA, the System, which is comprised of Eddie Edwards, Alicia Edwards, Brian Myers, and Moose, as well as former NFL player as well. I was like, okay.
Hey, he's a former TNA star too.
That is very fair as well. And so I was puzzled. I was like, uh-oh, it's a new faction. I was like, are we going to see multiple people pick up wins here tonight? And we'll get into that. But I'm here for a new heel faction because there's not really many heel factions currently right now in TNA, and we need something to work with. Because, yeah, the last heel faction we had, the majority of them went to Ring of Honor and or AEW. PCO is the only one to remain. And Eddie too, but even still.
Yeah, I think it's good because Moose and Myers especially were like some of the main heels for TNA Impact. So I feel like putting them together with this faction is not only a good move for all of them to give them something new and interesting to do, but it gives a big bad for TNA and all the performers to have to worry about, because we can see the dynamic they have of a tag team, a world title challenger, a knockout title challenger, and they all fit together. So I think it was a good choice, and it's fun. I'm excited to see where they go with this because it's gonna be really good.
Yeah, it was expected. They're new. It's brand new. We're starting all over, starting from day one. And yeah, I'm pretty sure as we go forward, we're going to probably see a lot more of these sort of popping up. Different new factions being created. Yeah, I'm excited to see where we're going with all of it. Especially with all the new signings coming in and things. I'm pretty sure we're going to start seeing some team-ups and clicks happening, you may say.
Especially with other potential that we could see some factions show up from other places. Could be pretty fun too.
We'll get into that announcement. But I'm so excited for that one. But you know what? I'm here for a new faction, and if 2023 showed us anything across all promotions, factions are a big thing in all of the major promotions right now, and that's how you get a bunch of people on for television time. That's how you can have good storylines for a variety of divisions as well. Okay, so from here, in ring, we get DJ Who Kid, which, for those of you who don't know, DJ Who Kid is a predominant hip-hop producer. And just as a sidebar, there is such a fun crossover because there's a lot of hip-hop artists and producers who are big wrestling nerds as well. Hip hop and wrestling have always somehow magically combined, and it's always worked. But DJ Who Kid's in the ring, and he introduces AJ Francis, formerly known as Top Dollar from WWE. I want to make this statement before we get into the fun part, because I don't dislike AJ Francis. WWE has made it so hard for me to take him seriously because they did nothing but crap on him while he was in WWE after his mistake of tripping over the rope when he did the flip. Michael Cole buried that poor man and read him for filth. And I was like, oh, AJ, you don't deserve this. So WWE made it really hard for me to care about AJ Francis, but that wasn't the point of this, because we kind of get the premiere of DJ Who Kid and AJ Francis' music video, and then who should interrupt but the best person that we all know and love, and Joe Hendry comes back. We gotta do the hand waves with this. Yes.
So good.
Him in his satin silk blue shirt.
Tight.
I want. I'm like, I want that shirt. It must feel really nice.
I'd like that shirt.
That specific one.
On my floor.
This was one of my, just as soon as his image popped up, this became one of my highlights of the night.
Yes.
I loved that they found ways to get things in there for us, and finding a way to get Joe Hendry on this card was a really smart choice.
The best. So excited.
It was so good. And then what made it even better too is the music video that we got of Joe Hendry poking fun of AJ Francis. Listen, I want to know the creative process behind Joe Hendry's brain when he comes up with these music videos, because he always has one every time he enters a feud with somebody. He had one for Kenny King. It was so funny. And then the big thing is because AJ Francis is the Cheez-It champion, and then as soon as the music video's over, he had a box of Cheez-Its. So I was like, where did that come from?
So funny.
Yeah, I think it's a smart choice to have him and AJ Francis feud for a little bit, at least to bring Francis in if that's what's going to happen, because Joe Hendry can make that feud so entertaining and so good at the same time. So yeah, I think it's a smart choice. I just hope that it's Joe Hendry that's coming out big out of that one. I'm here for a Hendry push.
I want nothing but the best for Joe Hendry. I think we all do. We have missed him so much on our television screen, and I was worried that we weren't going to get him back, but now that we have him, I'm here for Joe Hendry Takeover 2024. Make it happen, Scott D'Amore. Then we get into our next match, and this is still the countdown, mind you. This is not even the main card yet. This is how fun this whole entire show was from beginning to end, because even the countdown was super smart in how they made everything. So the second match we got on the countdown is we had an old versus new generation tag team match where we had The System being represented by Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards take on the TNA originals of Frankie Kazarian and Eric Young. My lord, this match also ruled. Eric Young still has it. And I love the rebrand of his entrance, and his Dr. Doom mask is great. He's growing out the beard again.
I was very excited about it.
And I feel like that marks a chance of him going to a darker Eric Young of some sort. So I think it could be pretty dope. He's always been really good. He's obviously a great comedic performer, but when he goes either like crazy or super evil, he does really good at that.
Oh, absolutely. And also, Frankie Kazarian, it makes me happy to see him in TNA because he took a big chance because he was signed to another company. Then he asked for his release because they weren't using him at all. And then he took a leap of faith, as we heard him say during the video packages we got during the Countdown show. And especially the last 4 weeks, we've heard from Frankie Kazarian talking about how he took a big chance coming back to TNA. My gosh. Outside of the critiques where we had that 6-month-long feud between him and Eddie Edwards that should have been reduced to only maybe 2 months, if anything.
Yeah.
He has never been happier, and honestly, this is probably the best work I've seen from Frankie Kazarian in the last couple of years, which makes me really happy.
Yeah, since his early run in that other company, I think this is the best run that he's had. And I think it was a smart choice putting these two against the new tag team for the system because Kazarian and Edwards are obviously experienced tag team wrestlers and they're well known. So now they got a big win. It looks good for this new tag team, which is also great for the tag team division. So I think, yeah, this was a great matchup. I enjoyed it a lot.
I liked the beginning of this match when Eddie was in the ring and Frankie stepped in the ring to fight with him, and Eddie was like, "No," and he tagged out immediately. I was like, "That was great." I was like, "That I love that." And I'm thinking maybe that was the finality of that whole thing. It's like, now it's just on because we are what we are. But I just, it was such a good. It was such a good match. It was so good. It was crazy good. Better than I was expecting it to be, only because I've never seen Frankie and Eric fight together. I've seen Eddie and Myers fight together, but I didn't know how it was gonna go. I was like, how's this gonna match and mix well? But yeah, it was so good. It was so good about Frankie.
I feel like the stable angle, really, it was a smart way that they played it, giving us that package, and then that set up even more interest for all the matches that the stable members were in. In this match, like you're saying, seeing this on paper, I'm like, yeah, all four of them are experienced wrestlers. They're all good. They know they're good at what they do. Sure, it'll probably be a decent match. But then once the stable angle was put into it, I was like, okay, now I'm interested, because now this is telling me there's going to be story here, at least with half the people in the match. So yeah, it was good.
This was a great match. And the system picked up the victory here, which is good, because normally I'm trained, and a lot of us are trained anytime we introduce a new faction. I am trained that in their first match as a faction, they lose their first match, which I'm happy to see that they didn't. So I was like, thank you. TNA is doing the Lord's work in the sense of he brainwashing me of years of just used to these tropes that we see in other companies.
Yeah, but I will say this: when they introduced this new faction, it threw most of my predictions out the window.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I have such a good thing, and then when they introduced the faction, I'm like, crap, it's too late to change.
Yeah,
there goes.
I know.
It's too late to change my predictions now.
Yep.
Type of way, we still did pretty good.
Yeah, you won. You got the most out of all of us.
I still
think you
retain
were like 7-3 or something like that. 7-4
or something. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't, and of course we talked about it. We didn't count the Knockouts tag team match because that was not advertised, but that was such a beautiful surprise. We'll talk about that. Okay, now we're entering the final stretch of the countdown, and this is the match we've all been here for to talk about on the countdown, because this next match, I wasn't sure how it was going to go. I was excited that it ended up being no DQ, and you know what? I'm gonna eat crow here. Both Tommy Dreamer and Crazy Steve did the thing for the Digital Media Championship in a no DQ match. Tommy Dreamer going into this match as champion, defending it against his longtime friend Crazy Steve in what we should have gotten months ago.
Yeah.
But you know what? We got it here, and this match kicked ass. I love this so much.
Yeah.
I do feel like this match was continuing the trend that we got from Impact over the last 6 months or so of like, where's the build? And then we get to the match and we're like, the match was awesome. It would have been nice if there was build, but the match itself was still awesome. Yeah, it was cool. Glad it happened and glad it went the way it did.
I thought that both of them, because I wasn't sure how this was going to go. I didn't know if this was going to be one of those where you're just like, oh gosh, just let it be over with quickly. But I thought both of them performed very well. I thought Dreamer was in it, and of course we knew Crazy Steve was in it, but I was very surprised at how in it Tommy Dreamer was. Like, we had seen it in the last two of his, when we saw him the last two times in this whole him and Crazy Steve saga, and he was getting more and more like bold and, dare I say, stronger and more daring. And it really came through in this one, I think, too. The two of them were pounding each other. And I was just like, wow, okay, this is going to be great. And it did. It turned out this was the match that I was just, even when we were like watching the live, we were all, when we knew it was coming, we were all just like, and then I was like, oh my God, this is actually really good.
Yeah, I feel like this was the one we were the least sure of what we were gonna get. I think all the other ones were like, we had a pretty good idea, and I think in some cases our expectations they went past and beyond our expectations. But this match, even though it was a no DQ match, it wasn't the most extreme no DQ match I've ever seen, but it mixed in enough stuff that it enabled Tommy Dreamer to shine. Some of the move combos he did with different weapons and foreign objects and things like that were awesome. Made him look really good. And they played well to the story that had been going since these two started feuding.
I agree. Some of my highlight spots of this match is also anything that involves a kendo stick is going to be great. I will say the part of the match that made me scream the most is after Crazy Steve put all those forks and then did the running cannonball into Tommy Dreamer with said forks. I'm like, oh no. And I think the other one was Crazy Steve put Tommy Dreamer inside of the chair and then like drop kick. Leg dropped on it. I was like, oh no, what are we? No, don't. No. What are we doing? But of course, Crazy Steve pulled it out, and I was like, thank you. That was the only. Not to say I didn't care about the other matches, but this is the one where if Tommy Dreamer wins, I might actually riot.
This was very much the right call. Yeah.
You made me like Crazy Steve anymore. You can't have this really dark, but very heartfelt 4-part interview series where we learned about Crazy Steve in like a more vulnerable light, and then him like with his degenerative eyesight, and where he's eventually gonna go blind. I think was crazy to hear during that interview. I was like, give this man a title, please. Like, he's been here. I keep forgetting that Crazy Steve has been in TNA for the longest time. He was part of when Abyss was around, and that was like years ago. Like, holy crap, man. But Crazy Steve is our new digital media champion, and man, I hope he does cool stuff with this. It's like, now if you're gonna go after the title, it has to be some sort of Crazy Steve stipulation, like maybe a haunted house match or something.
Yeah, it's digital media, right? It's supposed to be like a TV title meets an internet title kind of thing, so it should be some crazy stuff that's something you're gonna see on the internet or something like that, or that's gonna get a lot of views. Like, it needs to be something interesting and unique.
I hope we bring back the digitalmedia.com like battle matches where like what Jordan Grace and Matt Cardona did, where they're hitting each other with keyboards and choking each other out with mouse wires. It was ridiculous, but so good. And you know what? This ended the countdown. Oh boy. So this was a nice appetizer, and we even said it during the watch along. Go check the Patreon if you want to see our full thoughts. But holy crap, the countdown was good. Then we entered the main course on the main card. So before we get into the first match that kicked off Hard to Kill, I have to say that opening video package and then the transition of Eric Young walking in said video package, narrating said video package, and then entering through the tunnel with the whole roster on the stage as he continued to the monologue that was created for it, with the crowd whooping and hollering the whole entire time. That is how you get me invested in a pay-per-view from the first 5 minutes. This is how you make me care, and this is how you get me hyped, because that excitement took me through the whole entire show until the very end. And Eric Young, in my opinion, was the best choice for you to be the face of all this too. I'm just like, bravo to TNA for doing that, because that was awesome.
Yeah, it was. Eric Young is also, he's like Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin. He's one of those people that seems like whenever you think of TNA or Impact or any of the other variations that they've had, he's one of those people you picture with it. He's one of those faces of them historically, and the fact that he's still around. it's awesome to see that he gets to spearhead parts of things like that. And he's got the great voice for it too. And you could tell that it meant something to him. And all the folks on stage when he came out, like seeing the roster out there, seeing all the new titles, like it was dope. I liked it a lot. It was a cool moment to have. And it was awesome for all the performers to have it too.
It just added to the evening. I have to say, everything outside of the matches added to the energy of the evening. There was nothing that took me away from what was happening. Like the excitement, the electricity, and nothing pulled me away from that. I love that about this whole evening, is that everything was pulling us along. It wasn't, because sometimes like in the weekly shows you have those moments where they do like a video package, and you're just okay, that's neat. All right, on to the next match. And these, everything they did, it would just added to the excitement. And I was like watching, going, oh my gosh, he's like, oh, there's another match coming up. Okay, here we go. I was pumped the whole time, and everything they did just kept me going.
So good. And then it seamlessly transitioned into our opening match of the evening for the main card, the second ever Knockouts Ultimate X match, where the winner would get a future Knockouts Championship match whenever. And this saw Tasha Steelz, Giselle Shaw, Alicia Edwards, Jody Threat, newly signed TNA Knockout Danny Luna, and debuting in TNA is Zaya Brookside, who we come to find out after the show has signed a 3-year deal with TNA. I was just like, yes, some more UK talent. Holy crap. The Knockouts division, I need all the other companies to watch, because this is how you utilize your women's roster, people. Come on now. This was a match that I knew I was going to enjoy. All 6 of these women. Oh, I forgot. Alicia is also in this match too.
Yeah.
Sorry, Alicia. But all 6 of these women, man, they knocked it out of the park with this one. Holy crap, man.
Yeah, this was a dope match. TNA's been doing X Division matches for a while. It's awesome that they're finally doing ones for the Knockouts Division too, and that they're continuing to do them. But they booked them really wisely. Like, everyone gets a moment to shine. People get some time to interact with different people. They used the structure really well, and everyone did too. I mean, there was just that wave of dive off of there, fall off of there from everybody as they were all climbing up, and it was done really well. It was awesome to get to see Danny Luna and Zaya Brookside basically debuting or re-debuting in TNA, and see them, some of these other performers, to really see what they could do. And it was awesome to see someone like Danny Luna in there, just another powerhouse, and Jody Threat too. Jody Threat had some big power moves too, wrestling in there, which was awesome. I feel like she was kind of a sleeper over the last few months, because she had that little feud with the Coven where she was blamed for taking them out, and then she going back and forth with Kylan King. But even after that stopped, she still popped up and wrestled some matches where she was just like the other knockout thrown into matches. So it's cool to see her get to be in there, and I think she's great to have in the Knockouts division. And yeah, with these 6 plus who we had in the title match and some of the other ones we know might be popping up in the future, I'm excited. Plus some of the ones we didn't even get to see tonight that we know are still around, like Sunny and Kylan King and stuff like that. So yeah, awesome match.
It's magical. Will, this was your first experience with the Knockouts Ultimate X match. How did you feel watching these 6 women go at it?
Oh, it's great. Of course, you know me. I love the women's wrestling sometimes more than the men's. So anytime, any chance I get to see the ladies go to town, I'm here for it. And I think this was a great precursor to what we can expect from the women's division here at TNA. I really do. And I know we didn't get to see some of the others that we really wanted to see, but excuse me, I think with this match kicking it off at the beginning, I think this is TNA saying, get ready. You're going to see some amazing women's wrestling from us from now on. And I was like, absolutely. I know, because I had missed this match. I believe this is the one I missed because I had to go. Yeah. So I went back and I watched it today. And I was just as pumped and as I was last night. We were watching it. I was just like, oh my gosh. Oh yeah. I was yelling at the thing. It was great. I really do. I really think that this is a buckle up, boys. Because the girls are coming for you. Like, honestly.
So, yeah. I got a chance to watch this a second time earlier today, and I put this down in my notes because this is just a light bulb moment, an epiphany for me. I think why I really enjoyed this match is this is the second ever Knockouts Ultimate X, so that I want to see more for the Knockouts to have these types of matches, which is great. But I think for me, this match, I really enjoyed it, not just because of the action that we got, but I feel that overall, the booking of this match and the story that we got throughout this match told two different tales. And I think this was excellent on TNA's part and the women involved. This match served two purposes. It not only showcased the women that we're used to seeing, so it reminded us that Tasha Steelz, Giselle Shaw, and Alicia Edwards are really great in the ring too. But on the same point, I believe this was also a good way to showcase your two new signings and Jody, who's only been with the company for a couple of months, and show the new talent as well. And the fact that all 6 women were able to blend their styles of wrestling seamlessly together and got to showcase a lot in this match. Bravo to the women and for TNA, because this match did so much good stuff. And I was just like, holy crap. I'm like, good luck whoever's following up with this, because this match kicked all the butt. And this was a very good way to start off Hard to Kill. And ultimately, though, it came down between Danny and Jody, I believe, who was on the ropes, and then also Giselle. And shocker for all of us, but in a good way, Giselle Shaw ended up picking up the victory. So Giselle Shaw is the number 1 contender right now for the Knockouts Championship, which I'm happy for. And at first I was like, that's an interesting choice. But then, Andrew, me and you talked about this while we were getting ready for the next match. It makes sense because Giselle is technically the one that beat up Deanna and sent her out on her way at Final Resolution too. So I was like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. Because of that, it makes sense from a storytelling and booking perspective to continue to have Giselle get this forward momentum. And honestly, Giselle versus eventually who we found out walked out of the Knockouts Championship as the champion. I'm excited for that match because I know it's going to be good. But once again, kudos to all the women in this Ultimate X match. This match was a great way to kick it off. It's so good. So then really quickly, we got confirmation because we saw a backstage segment in the hotel lobby with AJ Francis and DJ Who Kid, which basically confirmed that we're pretty sure that Joe Hendry and AJ are going to feud for a little bit, which I'm all here for. This is going to be great. And then I wanted to hate this match on paper when it got first announced because we all were like, why is this on the main card? But it ended up turning into something even better. So initially, the second match on the card, we saw our favorite French-Canadian Frankenstein, PCO, taking on trying to relive the Justin Timberlake, Britney Spears BMA moment of dressing in all denim, Dirty Dango being accompanied by Alpha Bravo and Oleg Brudius. I wanted to hate this match at first, and then we got the DQ, which means we all picked PCO, so technically we won this one.
Oh, that's true. We still won no matter what.
Yeah,
we technically won. So there's not much to say about the first match we got because interference and DQ happened. I was like, okay, this is what we're doing. I was like, oh dang, Hard to Kill, you're gonna get points docked for this. And then magic happened because Santino comes out, our deputy director. He's like, no, we ain't doing this tonight. I was like, so y'all want to team on PCO? Well, guess what? Rhino comes out, and so it was going to be PCO and Rhino. And then Santino's like, I got one more person. We're going to make this a 3-on-3 match. And who did Santino call to the ring? But what's my name? Jake something comes out. And immediately I was like, oh, this is the best match, 10 out of 10. Don't care. We haven't even started wrestling yet. But anything with Jake for me, because I know he's going to ragdoll people across the ring, is going to be great. That is exactly what happened. Bell rings. It ended up being a match. But honestly, this was Jake something ragdolling people left and right, kicking major butt, and just the face team just kicking all the ass in this match.
The stuff with PCO when it was just him and Dango, he did hit some pretty crazy moves onto the apron. He did some big stuff like that, and we talked about it during the live watches. Dude, PCO, at the age that he is, at the career that he's had, he's still hitting stuff that I'm like, man, there are people half his age, younger than half his age, that aren't doing those kind of moves, but he's still doing it. And then, like, when they introduced Jake something, the fact that they found a way, I love that they found a way to get Santino on the show.
Yeah,
but the fact that we also get to see Jake something come out after getting the surprise of Joe Hendry, like, I didn't even care when the match started. The match could have just been meh. It was still fun, but even if it wasn't as fun as it was, I didn't care because, yeah, they found a way to get Jake something out there. It was awesome.
Oh my god, yeah. I was the same way. At first, I was like, I didn't get to see this one either. I caught the end of it when I got back. I caught the end of it, so I saw who won.
Yeah.
I didn't see any of the stuff leading up to it. So when I was watching this today, at first I was like, oh, really? This happened, and I was just like, and then I agree with you. I was wondering if they were going to get Santino was going to be in this. I was wondering, and they found a way to do it, and I was like, oh, that's fantastic. And then when they were like, oh, I'm going to bring Rhino into this. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Oh, okay, this match just got really interesting. And then when they announced Jake something, I was like, oh, okay. Okay. So now I just get to watch Jake toss people around, and I'm good with that. So I'm totally good. And it was great. It was a fantastic match. Yeah, it's one of those matches that I was why is this here? Mm-hmm. And then it was like, I don't care that it's here because we get Jake involved. And I agree with you with PCO too. My God, that man is doing things that nobody should be doing. I'm amazed he's not really undead.
It's okay. So the one move for PCO, we can always expect him to do something crazy in his matches. He just finds a way to do stuff. The one move that made me go, oh my gosh, what is this man doing? Is, I don't even want to call it a swanton, but he like literally not even flopped. He like ragdoll. He gets to the top turnbuckle and he ragdolls himself onto the like edge of the ring apron, like literally chops Dango in half. I'm like, oh, so they're gonna feel that in the morning. And I was just like, he's just
when he did the like rolling senton onto him on the apron.
Gosh, man,
he does that in almost like every match, and it's like, dude,
how are you doing that?
Yeah.
How are we not hurt yet?
How is he not hurt, and how is he able to do it so well? Because he's not small either.
No.
And his opponents are fine too. Like,
yeah, that is. You bring up a good point.
Target area is so tiny for him.
Yeah, but you bring up a good point. He is very graceful. Actually, when he does move, a lot of his moves. I've noticed that too, because I'm like, he's a big guy up top. He's just like barrel chested and just a big man. And he can do, you're right, in those little bitty areas, he can like with precision, which is, you wouldn't think with seeing his size and his age, but man, he can do it. And I'm like, you do it until you can't do it anymore, my man. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
Especially considering this is a dude that a few months ago took a power bomb onto cinder blocks with thumbtacks on it.
I mean, he got up and kept going. And I'm just like,
and on top of that, he wrestles with the thumbtacks embedded into his skull too. I was like, oh my gosh.
PCO needs to challenge Crazy Steve for the
yes.
That would be fantastic.
Just for the entrances alone.
Yeah.
Shout out to PCO entrance, by the way, to this match of him being reanimated.
Oh, yes.
That was so good.
Yeah.
It was, you know what it was, is that was one of the most pay-per-view quality ring entrances that we had. There was theatricality to it, but it was simple the way they did it. It was so good. So good.
Agreed. Totally.
I love it. And I'm so happy PCO decided to re-sign with TNA. And because remember, we got the announcement right after Bound for Glory that PCO was the first re-signing for TNA after that announcement at Bound for Glory. So I was just like, oh, I can't wait to see him. And then we got PCO like sparingly, but I was like, oh, 2024, man. I'm so excited to see what we do with our French-Canadian Frankenstein. I'm so happy. And yep, as if we didn't say it already, the PCO, Rhino, and Jake Something pick up the victory here. Listen, if this is how we're going to use Dango with just him being a turd and then just having people ragdoll him, I'm all here for it. I do wish we got the Fashion Police version of Dirty Dango because I miss the Fashion Police. I still love when he was trying to figure out who had tagged Santino when he first joined the company, and then he had the whole murder board. I was just like, love me a good murder board. It's so much fun and so good. And then I did some research. Dango had re-signed with TNA, so he signed for a year contract, so he's going to be sticking around for the year. So even though I don't like his character in the presentation, I do like Dango as the wrestler, and I feel like he wasn't utilized property in the other company. So I'm happy to see him be here and be part of something fun. Okay, so before I change the next picture, though, I want to preface, this next match was surprise. It wasn't advertised on the card, so there was no card for this. And I'm going to spoil it right now because the card I have is announcing who won the match. So I'm just going to get out of the way. We have new Knockouts Tag Team Champions, and they are the Death Dolls. No, they're not. They're not the Death Dolls anymore. They are Decay, which is now comprised of Havoc and Rosemary's. They are your new Knockouts Tag Team Champion. But now that we've gotten spoiler out of the way, when I tell you Andrew and Will witnessed me turn into a 5-year-old boy, as soon as MK Ultra's video package and music hit, I lost my mind. I screamed like a girl, and Andrew and Will joined in with me because we were all yelling and screaming at this as well. Holy crap. Scott D'Amore, I swear you're listening to us because we complained about not having MK Ultra on our television screens and us being frustrated with you for cutting their match at Bound for Glory. And they were a surprise, and the audience went nuts.
Yeah, it was so good. And they built this up the right way, too, from all the way from the first entrance to when the match started. So smart, so good.
I think when Andrew and I were doing the review for the clip show that we watched, we were talking a little bit about this because you had talked about it, that they had not released what the belts were going to look like yet. And because we did a whole thing on the belts too, and I had been thinking about that ever since, and I was like, this was their plan all along. And I love that they were basically like, we're not going to worry about those. We're not going to, they probably won't be there. We probably won't premiere them at the thing. Totally had us. Totally. And then when this happened, I was just like, holy crap, you guys got us. You got us so good. And I love that. And I love that you got us because you got us with the best possible thing ever, which was this amazing match between these two tag teams. Oh my God, it was the whole setup of it. You're right. As soon as it started, everyone was just, you heard the crowd go crazy. And I was just like, this was beautiful. So perfectly executed. So well done. And I give them kudos for this, for keeping it so secret, honestly. It's especially in this day and age where you can't keep secrets about anything because someone's always going to spoil something. But there was nothing. No one said anything. No one was like whispering. No one was anything. And I was like, I love that. I love when things like that come together.
It was fun. Yeah. It was funny because as we were transitioning from the match to whatever we thought was going to be next, I opened Instagram and it showed the video of Scott D'Amore presenting MK Ultra with the new Knockouts tag titles. And I was telling Andrew, I was just like, oh, you know what? I opened Instagram and it's like, ooh, these belts look nice. They're just like the men's with the red straps and everything. I was like, they look cool. And then I jokingly said, imagine that because they got these titles, now they're going to defend them right now. And I remember Andrew telling me, like, yeah, that'd be great. Then not even 5 seconds later, MK Ultra pops up on the screen. I'm like, oh my gosh.
And they had them there at the beginning of the Ultimate X match when all the roster was out there. They were standing like the front on what would be stage right for the entranceway. They were out there at the front. They never really focused on them. You caught them for a second. But I was like, man, how lame is that going to be if they just reveal the belts on Instagram and then they're just out there with everybody else, but that's all we get from them. And then the fact that they were able to make this such an exciting match and something so fresh by making a small change, of going from Death Dolls to Decay. If TNA, you've seen what going to the underworld can do to people and the characters it can bring out in them. So, like, seeing Rosemary and Havoc come back and then them challenging MK Ultra, it made sense because it was like you needed the monsters to fight the psychos, and so it's like 4 killers fighting each other, and that's what we got. And it was great too because we got to see MK Ultra, who has been a core tag team, face some big adversity, but which also made Decay look really cool. And I'm like, if we just get these 2 teams feuding for a while, I'm okay with it while they build up the other tag teams in the division, hopefully.
Oh, please. I'm so excited. And let me tell you, as soon as Decay entered and just the excitement was there, this match was only 6.5 minutes, but these 4 knockouts did not step off the gas.
Nope.
They went all in. And we got everything from Masha Slamovich killing people. I was like, oh, she's just going to brutally decimate people. I love the double power bomb from Havoc on Killer Kelly and Masha Slamovich. Yeah. I love seeing Rosemary's iconic, like, on the back and then rising up to scream into her opponent's face.
When she got Killer Kelly all the way backwards. Yeah.
So good. Killer Kelly being, like, really kinky and, like, beating people up and then just reveling in the... This is what I want to see with my women's knockouts matches. Like, holy crap. And like we said, DK is your new TNA Knockouts Tag Team Champions. And I'm agreeing with Andrew and Will. If these are the 2 tag teams that we're getting while we build up the rest of the Knockouts Tag Team division, I am here for it. And I'm excited to see a chasing MK Ultra because I think that's going to be fun. I want them to revisit their dog collar match because that's what ended up making Masha and Killer Kelly become a team. Is after they fought each other in that dog collar match, which was very semi. It was so weird. It was such a good thing, and they just revel in the violence. I'm just like, and it works perfectly too because we see Masha Slamovich out here having all kinds of death matches in ECW all the time, where she's fighting men and women. It's so good. This was such a nice surprise, and Scott Demore, if you ever see this review, thank you so much. I feel like you're watching, or somebody is watching, all the people that covered TNA in cyberspace because you have corrected a lot of the things we've been complaining about, and honestly, you are one of the few companies that actually listen to the fans, which is really great. So after that slobber knocker of a match, as JR would say, we get a quick backstage interview with Steve Macklin, who is ready to bag and tag everybody and anybody in his way 2024. I'm so excited. I also chuckled because at this point, Will pointed out, he's like, Steve Macklin has a big mouth. No, not metaphorically, but physically. I was like, I couldn't unsee it when you pointed that out, Will. I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. So funny.
It's huge. I never noticed it before either. I literally was like watching it and went, man, he's got a huge mouth. Like, I don't even know what drew me to it. It was just like, you can't help it. It's like there. Yeah. But I was just like, I don't know. We've seen him do these sort of close-up interviews before, and I don't know why I've never noticed it. I don't know why last night suddenly it's like Macklin's mouth was there, and it was like, it was only his mouth, and there was nothing else to him. I was just like, couldn't stop looking at it. I was just like, I tried. I would look away and I would come back and my eyes would go right to his mouth. It's huge.
And now all you're gonna do is watch his mouth every time he's on.
I know.
I'm gonna start calling him Mouth.
Steve the Mouth Macklin.
Exactly.
Yes. I love it. And shout out to Mr. and Mrs. Perazza, had a great Saturday night. Steve Macklin won his match. Deanna won her debut in-ring match against Red Velvet on AEW Collision. It's a happy day in the Macklin household. And it was also a happy day in Las Vegas because before we got to our next match, Scott D'Amore is the saint. We need to protect this man at all costs. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care if he's a big Canadian man. Like, this man cherishes the relationships that he has built with other companies. And this is where we get the announcement where we officially are expanding and bringing more talent across the border, so to speak, both ways, mind you.
Yeah.
And this is where we get the announcement of the TNA and AAA and the Lucha Libre Federation in Mexico. We get the announcement that we get a partnership between the two companies. And all I was doing, we all clapped at this because when we reviewed the episode where Impact goes to Mexico, like a Scooby-Doo special, we were so impressed with all the luchadors in there. Made me super happy. Will got introduced to real Lucha Libre. And we all said we wanted more, and oh my gosh, now we're gonna get more, you guys. I'm so happy.
I am super freaking excited about this.
And yeah, it brings in so much unique talent, possibilities, both directions, I think.
Yes.
Hey, all I have to say is anybody out there listening to us, if you have never watched Lucha Libre style fighting, you are missing out. My God.
AAA is where it's at, man. And honestly, so good.
It is like watching Cirque du Soleil on crack. I mean, it is like the high flying acrobatics these guys do is insane and amazing. All the time. So if you have never watched it, listeners out there, you should go watch because it's amazing.
It is, and it made me so happy. And I loved that they brought out the owner of AAA speak to the audience both in English and Spanish. So listen, anytime we get bilingualness in our wrestling companies, I'm always going to applaud for it because TNA is one of the few that actually lets people talk in their native language. And it makes me excited for this partnership because AAA is where we got the likes of all the other big luchador stars we have right now in the different companies. AAA is responsible for Dragon Lee in WWE, and the Kingo, Penta, and Rey Fenix, and just
even people like Taya Valkyrie built up their careers over there. Like, it's not known as much generally to the wrestling community, like the non-wrestling or casual wrestling community, but AAA it's like WWE in Mexico. Like it's one of the big federations, and all like Commander. Oh, you can't forget the great AAA champion QT Marshall. No, but yeah, it's cool. I think mixing in also some more luchadors with X Division, bringing in some of the not as high flying luchadors, but some of their other characters that they have in AAA to face off against some of the variety of people they have in TNA. And TNA stars getting to go to AAA too. We saw how many cool matches they could have going over there.
I'm so excited for this partnership, and what a way to christen said relationship. And okay, so from this point on, I enjoyed all the matches we got, but from this match onwards, this was just non-stop. And honestly, I still can't figure out what ends up being my match of the night. I still haven't picked at this point because revisiting everything, I'm just like, I can't pick one. And the matches prior to what we're about to talk about now are also really good and in contention for good match of the night for me. But let's get into it to christen this new relationship. This is the triple threat for the X Division Championship. And we're getting representation of TNA, New Japan, and AAA. Chris Sabin defending his title against Kushida and El Hijo del Vikingo. Oh my God. Listen, we talked about how the Knockouts tag team match in the 6.5 minutes they did not let up on the gas. these three boys did not let up on the gas either, because ooh, I'm at a loss for words. I'm like,
what
so
a
good.
great, diverse and multicultural match this was. I loved this because all three of these men were amazing, but because it was so diverse, and I'm thinking, we need more of this. We need more of this. I want to see, and don't get me wrong, I love it when my big strong white boys fight each other. But I want to see more of the sort of cross-cultural fighting. With this partnership with AAA, I'm super excited about, because I'm really hoping that we'll see more of them in TNA as we go, and vice versa, and TNA going there, and that sort of exchange of talent and teaching us, I say us, but TNA wrestlers a lot about what AAA wrestling is, what Lucha Libre is. I really hope also that they bring in more of the New Japan folks.
Yes.
And because I really enjoy that style as well. And I think that, and like they said in the whole intro, the idea of how the two styles, bringing the two styles together. Imagine bringing all three of them together in one house. Oh my gosh, it just gives me thrills just thinking about it. So I really hope, and going back to the match in just a second, but I really hope we can get more of this. I really do. This was just great. And this is a fantastic match.
Yeah. So. I think, like you said, we've seen them bring over some New Japan talent, especially recently. They seem to have a good relationship with them, so I agree. If we can get those three companies to work together, especially because TNA is a mixture of basically American and Canadian wrestling. So you've got that like North American wrestling, you've got the Lucha Libre wrestling, and then you've got Japanese style and the varieties that brings with it too. Like it always makes for such entertaining matches. You think of some of our favorite matches that we get to see, and they're usually matches with star companies, and it just gives for such variety. Yeah, it was awesome. I loved this match, and I have to say, I would love for TNA to be the place where we get more luchador champions, like in a variety of divisions, but more Lucha Libre champions in non-Mexican promotions. Like, I'd love to see a luchador hold like the world title, the X Division title, the digital media title, the knockout title. Get some women from Mexico too. Let's bring some of those wrestlers up. Like, we don't see that very often of people who wrestle traditional luchador style wrestling as world champions in a lot of other promotions. So I think TNA is a great place for it. This cross promotion is a great job.
Could you imagine a pay-per-view? Go with me here. A pay-per-view where you bring all three of those companies together and create these cross-promotional matches and create some kind of really specialized championship belt. And then have this huge international wrestling federation type thing. I would be on board with something like that so fast that people's heads would spin. Imagine, bringing even like European style fighting over. How freaking amazing would that be? Just to watch these different styles mixing and matching and interacting with each other, and I would love something.
It could be like the NWA title was back in the territory days, where the title could go through the different territories, but instead it's international.
Yeah.
Because TNA, they go to Australia, they go to the United Kingdom, they go to Scotland, Ireland, England. So yeah, you mix all those places together.
Do it. I would. Scott, you hear us out there? Put that on your list.
Okay. So I don't even know where to start with this match, because just from beginning to end, everything was so good. Vikingo being your high flyer and just doing everything and anything was that poison Rana off of the top rope was awesome. Then compare that to Kushida. Oh my gosh, that hoverboard lock every time, and just a submission expert to begin with too. Just everything looks so painful. I will say the last 2 minutes of this match was just baller because you had Chris Sabin. Again, Chris Sabin, 20 years in this company with TNA, and this man just doesn't have a bad match. Like, him and Kenta killed it at Bound for Glory, and then he has this triple threat against Kushida and Vikingo, and this was awesome. This man continues to surprise me. But that Canadian Destroyer on the ramp to take out Vikingo, and then to hit the Cradle Shock immediately onto Kushida after he tries to get in the hoverboard lock, like, this match ruled on so many different levels. And if this is what the X Division is going to be in 2024, oh man, I am so ready to see not just these three and just not just the luchadors coming over from AAA, but then I get excited and hopefully we can use some of the talent that we currently have for TNA. Give me Alan Angels, give me Speedball Mike Bailey, give me Jonathan Gresham. Like, I just want Chris Sabin to fight everyone in the locker room at this point.
And don't forget X Division too. Sometimes like Brian Cage was an X Division champion.
There's no limits.
Yeah, so because we always think about X Division, always gets lumped in with
cruiserweight.
Yeah, but so I'd love to see someone like a Jake something go into the X Division. Because then they topple that apple cart right over, because now they're like, oh, okay, there's a big boy here to wrestle with us, and so it just changes up that dynamic a lot. There's a few of them that I think could be pretty cool additions in there too. But yeah, all three of these guys were spectacular, and it just was like back and forth. It was awesome.
And I'll say it again. I think all of these matches in this pay-per-view were precursors to what we're going to get in this year, starting this year. Every single one of these matches were unique in their own right, powerful, and were telling us a message. And that was that I really believe TNA is saying, get ready, because we're coming, or actually get ready because we're here, and we're gonna see it in from all the matches. This idea that we're stronger than ever, we're better than ever. This is how good we are. Look at who we're signing to us. This is how much people want to be a part of us. And I really hope that we're going to see more of this continuing forward. We're going to see a lot more of these sort of quote-unquote free agents gravitating towards TNA, because if you look at them as a company, they're pretty on top of it. They're pretty on the ball for the most part, give or take a few moments here or there. Their weekly episodes are pretty consistent. Their talent gets pretty much a lot of screen time.
Yeah,
no one's really kind of left out. And the ones that are missing are usually missing for a reason. And I don't know. I just think TNA has it together, and I think these matches are telling us that. Just wait till you see what's coming next. I really do. But this match was off the hook amazing, because my God, the Kingo, everything he did was like liquid. It was like watching mercury float around that thing. It was so fluid. And I don't know what it's called, that one where he jumped and grabbed and circled around, and I don't even know what was happening in that moment, but it was so smooth and so fluid that it was just like watching ballet, like watching a dancer. It was incredible. And then Kushida's brutality is so amazing. Just that viciousness in his attacks and that sort of playfulness almost. There was a point where it felt like he was playing with his prey. And then, of course, Sabin is just a powerhouse. And these three together, this was fantastic. I can't even put words to how good it was. And it exceeded my expectations once again. This whole night with it.
Will, I have to ask you, because you had some thoughts about Chris Sabin, and I guess I'll ask you now, but you can answer after we get to the main event. So you had some thoughts that Chris Sabin might use option C if he retained the X Division title. So I'm interested to hear if you still think that might be something on the plate once we get to the end. But yeah, I'll wait till we get there.
Okay, cool.
Sweet. So we're gonna put a pin in that. So again, Chris Sabin retains. This match ruled. Oh my goodness! And then this next match, man. This is the big beefy boy match of the night. Josh Alexander versus Alex Hammerstone. Oh my God, I don't even know where to start with this one either, man. Holy crap. We're far enough into the review. I'm gonna drop this, but these two men piss out of each other. Holy crap, man. It was like,
Yeah.
woo! And I think Alex Hammerstone is like how you guys during the review were talking about Jonah. I feel the same way Alex Hammerstone. He is deceptive. He is a deceptive big guy. Like, you think he's just going to be power, but no, this man can move in the ring. So can Josh. And oh my gosh, I was like, I hope this is not a one and done. I would love for Alex to stick around or pop in ever so often, because this match was so good.
And he could be such a good fit in TNA because they don't quite have anyone like him. Like, we've got some big guys like Jake something. Heck, even Joe Hendry's a big boy too. Moose. So we've got some big guys in TNA, but Hammerstone's a different kind of guy. Like, I'd almost put him up there. He doesn't quite have the experience, and he's a little different moveset than someone like Brian Cage. But power-wise and athletic-wise, he's pretty close, or like a Wardlow and like that kind of thing. Like, he just has that different kind of power in the ring. And so to see him and Josh Alexander, I think, was a really smart choice, because they made each other look really good while both of them were having strong performances. So it was awesome to see. They did what two beefy boys do, and they just beat the crap out of each other. It was awesome.
Yeah. This was crazy. I wasn't sure about this match when it first was announced. It just felt like a filler. Like, we need Josh Alexander to fight somebody. We need him to be there, blah, blah, blah. But, man, you could feel the impacts these two men did on each other. The minute they walked into the ring and they made connection, you felt it. I was just like, wow. And this whole fight, and I think I mentioned it. I think, Andrew, I talked to you when we did our review last time about how I'm sick and tired of Josh Alexander losing.
Yeah.
And I was going to be so mad if he lost in this because I was like, what are y'all doing with him?
Yeah.
And then I thought, he's going to lose this because they brought this guy in. They brought Hammerstone in. This, that, and the other. That's a lot of those. Oh, they bring in the, so-and-so. They don't want them to lose, so they win.
Yeah.
Man, can this guy catch a break? And then the match was unhinged. I think this was probably the one I was the most vocal in.
Yeah.
Because of just the sheer impact of it on each other. I was just like, wow. These two men were trying to destroy each other. Like, just to prove that they could. It was so crazy. It was so good, though. This was a happy sort of surprise for me. Like, I was... Like, at the beginning, I was like, okay, this is good, this is cool. And then as that match kept going, I was just like, oh my God, this is giving me like anxiety. And I just, to watch these two, and you didn't get a chance to watch pay-per-view, go watch this match, because, man, it was so good. And again, you could feel that energy exuding from both of them because of the electricity in this building was incredible. The energy from the audience, the commentators, they could probably even feel it coming from us. I don't know, but you really got caught up in it. And I loved that. And this match was fan-freaking-tastic. Way better than I thought it was going to be. Way better.
I feel like the match before this, the X Division match, was like watching like soccer, football, that style of football, or basketball, while this match was like watching American football.
Yeah.
Like at a certain point, you felt like these guys were just running into each other, and you felt their exhaustion, you felt the impact for them, and it was great. And watching Alex have to Josh have to break Hammerstone down, trying to go after that leg, repeatedly trying to bring him down, and seeing Hammerstone still busting out that power, him hitting that nightmare pendulum on Josh Alexander, because Josh was not a small guy either.
That was a beautiful thing to watch.
Yeah. It was, man.
And then Josh just a little bit at a time rolling out of the way, just escaping that pin. So good, because it didn't make Alex Hammerstone look bad.
No,
like, he hit his finisher, he could have got it, but they had beat each other up so much he just couldn't
hold on to it. It was you could feel them just tearing each other down. You could feel it as the match was going on. You could see them slowing down. And it's that thing where it's like, I want to hit you, but I just don't have the strength to do it anymore. They literally just knock the shit out of each other. I get it, but I was exhausted after this match. I was like, I don't see how they did it. I don't see how they made it through. Just like either of them. And you're right, there were pins happening, and they were just barely getting out of them, or just barely holding them down. And I thought when Hammerstone did his finisher, I was like, okay, that's the end of that. And no, he just couldn't maintain it. And so Josh could get out of it. And then finally Josh did his finisher, and that ended the match. And I was just like, man, that moment where they were face off and they were just hitting each other, at first it was like, pow, then it was, it's like that sort of, I want to hurt you more, but I don't have any strength behind me. That sort of, and I was just like, wow. That's all I can say about that match is it was just wow. Man, God bless them both.
Oh my gosh, man. This was hard hitting, and this is exactly what I was hoping for. And again, this was another match. I was like, okay, we really don't have a build up for this, so I'm not sure how this is going to turn out, but I'm excited for it. Again, the wrestling spoke for itself. This match ruled. Josh picks up a victory, which is important because we always talk about storytelling here. This is important because it continues to build Josh up after losing for the last couple matches he's had, and now we're starting to see him pick up wins. He picked up a win with Zack Sabre Jr. at Final Resolution when they teamed together, and then Josh picked up a win against Alex Hammerstone here, which puts him in prime position. And like we talked about too, when we get to the main event with who ended up winning, there is history between Josh and our champion, but there's also an argument for Steve to go after said champion too, because there's a history there. And listen, the trifecta of Josh, Steve, and our champion, I'm just ready for those slobber knocker matches. This is gonna be so good. My goodness, this match was great. And then they just didn't let up, because then this next match, holy crap, this next match, the fatal 4-way for the TNA Tag Team Championship match. So we have to preface by saying this. So we got an announcement a couple hours before the pay-per-view, which I wasn't sure how we were going to feel about the change-up, because due to travel issues, due to the weather that's happening all over the United States, Trent 7 was going to be unavailable and wasn't able to get to Las Vegas in time. Substituting in for Trent 7 and to be Speedball Mike Bailey's partner in this match would be Laredo Kid. Listen, Andrew, before I continue,
I just had a thought. I was rethinking over the fact of, I loved this match, and I give props to all the people in it. I will say that when it was announced that it was Laredo Kid, no matter how much I wanted to in this match, I just couldn't get into him and Mike Bailey, because I didn't think they were going to win as a tag team. They were awesome in what they did, but they felt like the team that was there to be the fourth tag team. And then I just had a realization. I understand that they probably had this already built and planned for with the PCO and Dirty Dango match, but I would have loved if Mike Bailey's partner for this match was Jake something.
Oh,
Double duty.
Or take him out of that match. Take him out of the earlier match. I don't care. But the combination of Jake something style and Mike Bailey style,
Okay, I'm kind of here
they
for
would
it.
they would destroy so many teams. But anyway, sorry, it was just something that came to me and then I had to share it. So
See, now you made me not like this match. I'm just kidding.
no, it was awesome. I still loved it, especially getting to see the new.
wow. I never even thought about that. That would have been fantastic.
Listen, all I care about is that Trent something. When we do get him, I'm excited for him and Bailey to continue to be a tag team because this is great. But besides that little revelation, I'll be honest, I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about this match because the first couple minutes was the typical, all right, all four teams are going to fill each other out. And then literally 3 minutes afterwards, and the first big move was hit, it was go from here because holy crap, all four teams did that. Oh my God. And you know what? I have to give kudos to the Rascals and everybody involved in this match because they made me believe with a couple false finishes that the Rascals were gonna win. And I was just like, no, I love the Rascals, but we do not need to see them as tag team champs because we got Rascals versus ABC for a good couple of months in their feud. And so I was ready for new feuds. And this match was also really good too. And Andrew can probably speak better on this than me, but when I say that I was happy with the addition of the Grizzled Young Vets is the fact that this is an actual tag team. This is their bread and butter. This is in the same lane that FTR is. This is what they do. And to see an actual tag team do tag team things like going for the pin and the other member is watching out for everybody else, make sure nobody comes in, and actual tag team moves that they've been working on was so good, which is something that outside of Bailey and Laredo Kid, the other three teams are actually established tag teams like that too. You have the Rascals pulling off tag team moves. ABC has learned to fine tune their tag team style. I'm just going to say this. Chris Bay for me is a star, man. I love Chris Bay so much. Ace Austin is so good too. Like, this match is such a good example. And this is why I'm aggressively pointing with my pen to the camera here. Tag team wrestling can work when they are given the time to do it.
Yes.
That is my statement. I'm going to give my time to my other constituents to talk about this match in particular.
No, I agree. We're getting to see this in the other company that you and I review, Mikey, is starting to see quality tag teams. And it's not, I don't mind new tag teams. I just want to see them set up as a tag team. And I feel like what they did earlier in the night with revealing the system, Myers and Edwards, excuse me. At first, when I saw them announce, I was like, all right, they're both kind of heely, scumbaggy guys. But when I saw them come out for their tag team match, I felt like they were a tag team. They had some matching gear. They were on the same page. They came out together. And it just fit. Like, you could see where they're evolving to. So I'm happy with that. But to see these three tag teams, which I think now that the Grizzled Young Vets are there in TNA, those are the three top tag teams in TNA right now, hands down. And I think I would imagine that coming out of this, we're going to see a nice little rivalry either between those three tag teams or with GYV and ABC, because there's going to be some comeuppance and things like that people want to pay off. And I think they're a great foundation for building that tag team division. But yeah, as much as I want to hate the Rascals because they're really good at making you want to hate them, ABC and Rascals, every time I see them wrestle against each other or against other tag teams, they are so good at their styles of tag team wrestling. But I think you made a great point with GYV. They are the English version of FTR. FTR is that classic throwback, like Midwest kind of tag team. Like, took all those classic tag teams and took that style from them, and that's what they brought in. And Grizzled Young Vets are the English version of that. And it's awesome to see that here now because it brings a little difference. But man, I love that these are real tag teams, and you can tell that they love tag team wrestling. They want to be the best in this division, not two people who want to be world champions but aren't getting the title push or aren't in the picture right now, so let's just throw them together to have another tag team. Like, they legit are tag team wrestlers and want to be tag team champions.
Your thoughts on this fatal 4-way?
I was disappointed that Trent 7 couldn't be there, because I wanted Mike Bailey and Trent 7 to win, but if the Grizzled Young Vets had won, I would have been happy with that too. And I talked about this in our previous preview, and it's nothing against ABC or the Rascals. I think they're both fantastic tag team. I'm tired of watching ABC and the Rascals toss those belts back and forth with each other. I want to see somebody new. I want to see a new set of tag team wrestlers take the belt, hold on to it, make it something else, and start getting new blood into the tag teams. Because again, and I will concur with everything you guys said about the tag teams themselves. Absolutely, they're all amazing. They're fantastic. They work great. They have their thing. But I'm literally to the point it's like, I know what they do now. It's like watching them do the same thing over and over and over again, and eventually it gets old. And it did, for me anyway, because it's ABC had it, and the Rascals took it, the ABC had it, and the Rascals took it, the ABC took it, and then every time they fought together, you even guys could sit there and go, okay, they're going to do this move next. Okay, they're going to do this move next. Okay, they're going to do this move next. Okay, the Rascals are going to pull out the spray paint. Okay, this is going to happen. I really want something new. I want somebody I don't know. I want someone that I can go, ooh, I don't know these guys. They wrestled amazing, but I don't know anything about them. I want to watch and see what they bring. And I think that, and I get it, it's like when you have something that works, don't change it. When it's not broke, don't fix it. And I get that. However, I think ABC and the Rascals need to come up with new material. Truly. I just want to see them do something different. And I'm not talking about entrances and things like that. I'm talking about in-ring stuff. Please do something different. ABC, you've got the titles now. Yeah, you were saying, do something new. Give us something different. Give us something that we've never seen before. Because I want to be on board with you guys, but I'm tired of seeing the same thing over and over again. That's why I was like, oh yeah, I love Speedball Mountain, as they call it. I love their work together, and I'm like, ooh, that they have two unique styles, and it's fun to watch. That's my thing. And then watching the Grizzled Young Vets in this match, I was like, ooh, that's new. I like that too. But watching Rascals and ABC, it's like, oh yeah, there's your moves. Okay, yeah, you do that. Yeah, you guys do that. I see that all the time. We know that Rascals are going to, they all just have their own, they have their moves that they do every time. And I'm just like, okay, I see that you can do those, and that's amazing. But what else can you do? So that's just it. But this match was incredible. It was, again, amazing. All of these folks were on point. Mike Bailey was all over the damn place, as usual. And his speed and he's just great and fun to watch. And then the Grizzled Young Vets, man, talk about brutal. Their style is so brutal. It was so awesome to watch. I had a great time. This is a super fun match. Super fun.
I really enjoyed this match too. I still am of the mindset I'm bummed that Trent couldn't be there because I really wanted to see Speedball Mountain in action here. Anytime we get a fatal 4-way, my favorite part, and I don't care if it's a cheap pop, when we enter the final stages of a fighting game and everyone just spams finishers left and right. It's so good. What I'm hoping from this, though, is because the Rascals took the pin in this match, I hope, at least for a little bit, we could keep the Rascals busy. Technically, they're going to be busy because we got an announcement for a match happening at Snake Eyes between a certain Zachary Wentz and a new signee, which we'll talk about. But this match was a lot of fun, and I'm excited. Hopefully, we still get to see more Speedball Mountain since travel issues deprived us of that for this go around. But just the prospect of Speedball, Mike Bailey, and Trent 7 and being TNA together is, I'm so ready for this. It's going to be so good. Before we get into the next match, this is where we get another confirmation for another signee. Formerly known as Dana Brooke, we got to see the first visual representation of Ash by Elegance, who is now a new knockout in the division. Listen, I'm excited to see Dana Brooke here in TNA. I feel that main roster didn't know what to do for her all those years. And then she actually started to have a really good thing going with her, as Mean will cover NXT. She got paired up with Kalani Jordan in NXT, and they had a fun story. And then she got released, and I was like, well, that sucks. And then they put Kalani back at it, thrown at the back of the line, unfortunately. But then Kalani is slowly getting back there. But I think Dana is talented. I don't understand the hate for her on the internet. It makes no damn sense to me. But I am here for this Ash by Elegance character. I don't care. Is it corny? Yes. Do I think it's going to be amazing? Hell yes.
Yeah. Dana Brooke was always someone that I felt that got, like, when I saw her, because I wasn't there after she, like, when she had made her debut, so I had caught her as she had been wrestling for a little while, and people always bashed on her, and I saw her and I was like, she's not the greatest, but she, from what I had already understood, she was pretty new to it, and so she was learning, and she was better than a lot of people made her sound. And she was getting better and better. You can see how she was changing as a wrestler. She was someone that I thought had WWE actually done well with their tag team titles, that she's someone that could have excelled really well as half of the right tag team. But to see her here in TNA, I think they're a company that will do her right. And she's an interesting addition. I think there's some good matchups she can have with some of the top stars in the Knockouts division. And I'm interested to see what Ash by Elegance is all about, because it could be an interesting dynamic to add in with some of the other competitors. Her and Giselle Shaw would be an interesting face-off.
Oh my gosh, I am so here for it. Who's more bougier?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's fun. It's cool to see that stuff. And I think, Will, you were the one that said it earlier, is I hope that we're going to continue getting some more of these big announcements, even if they're just TNA people that we haven't seen in a while, that we're like, all right, cool, they're making a comeback, or they're getting a rebrand, or they're partnering up with people, or they were a tag team and now they're like, it's an individual thing. I want to see some of that stuff. McKay was a great start for that kind of thing, and we got some really good signings and announcements for some other competitors too, so I'm pumped. I'm excited. This was a good addition.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna get emotional talking about this next match. So in our semi-main event,
Can't do it.
oh my gosh. In our semi-main, Will's, I'm done. We're not watching TNA no more. Just kidding. In our semi-main event for the TNA Knockouts World Championship match, Trinity going in as champion, defending her title against the Call Your Shot Gauntlet winner, Jordynne Grace. This is, and it's only the third week of January, but to me, this is the best women's match so far of the year that I have seen. And even though it's only January, my God, Trinity and Jordynne showed up and showed out. This match was art to me, and it told a beautiful story.
I am not unhappy with the outcome of this match at all. We all knew it was coming. We knew it was going to happen because it had to. It was, even if all the rumor mill was not going, it made sense. It makes total sense that the outcome, the way that this ended, is the way it was supposed to end. And I was telling the guys, for those of you listening, I only picked Trinity to win this because I've been there since she's been here, and I'm a total glow girl, man. Let me tell you, I'm a glow girl. And I picked her because I had to be with her to the very end. I just couldn't go against it. And even though, if it had been anybody else, I would have picked Jordynne Grace, because I think Jordynne Grace is the perfect person to carry this mantle forward for TNA. I think because she came back in, and the Impact, she came in strong, and I was like, yes, this person right here should be the successor if Trinity ever vacates this title or needs to lose the title. This is who should do it, because I think she will I think she will represent TNA perfectly in the women's division. I think she's the perfect like poster child, dare I say, of women's wrestling. And I loved it. And I loved, like I said, I hated the outcome because I knew what it had to be. But I loved it also because I knew that who took over was the right choice. And I'm 1,000% behind them. 1,000%. And I cannot wait to see where this title goes. I cannot wait to see where this title goes. It was a sad night, but yet it was very happy. And this was a damn good match.
Yeah.
A damn good match.
Yeah, this was probably my match of the night because wrestling wise, it was up there with all the other top. I think I had 5 matches that I gave about the same ranking to because they were all just nearly perfect for me. They were entertaining. They told stories. I was into it. I never had a moment of even just a moment to breathe. I just felt like I was constantly going with them. And this match kept that going. We got to see the powerhouse that is Jordynne Grace and how Trinity got to use her technical style, some of her own strengths, some of her ingenuity and ring intelligence against Jordynne, as well as Jordynne not just being the powerhouse, but being a really good wrestler too. You add all that together along with the story, like Trinity being this champion for so long, defending it constantly, facing legends, being in the ring with them, being recognized by legends like Gail Kim and Mickie James, and kind of them going like, yeah, no, you're one of us. You are one of the TNA legends. Like when it's your time to be a legend, you will be in that category. And seeing her in there, but then Jordynne Grace on the other side, who came back to TNA and returned to action, looking great, winning some big matches. She teamed up with Trinity at one point and they looked great together. The fact that she won the Call Your Shot gauntlet, she's always out here just like being firsts at everything. And so to call out that title, this was like a perfect culmination of these two storylines. And Will, to your point about Jordynne Grace and holding this title, I feel like Jordynne Grace is like a Josh Alexander. They're this new generation of TNA stars. There are people in TNA who either wrestled for other companies or will wrestle for other companies at some point, and they may come back to TNA. But we've got the people like Eric Young, Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, that were these like kind of staples of TNA, and we associate their career with TNA, and they have a certain loyalty to that company that's unlike a lot of other people. And I feel like Jordynne Grace and Josh Alexander are that like new generation of those people. And so I feel like for her, not only are these huge like just milestones in general, but they hold a certain amount of like extra like honor for her and respect to hold those titles and hold those accolades. Yeah, it just feels like a really great moment. And so I think all that stuff combined is what made this match of the night.
Man, there's nothing else I can add that hasn't already been said to this match. And I'm leaning this towards also being my match of the night as well, but and not to say what I'm about to say be a bash at anything else or even to this match, but this was, for me personally, this was really hard for me to definitively say, okay, this was the easiest match of the night, because every single match on this card delivered in everything that we talked about and wanted from all these matches when we got them announced. This is my match of the night, but this was still really hard to pick because every single match was just that good, and it was so good. And for me personally too, just to close out before we get into our main event, Jordynne is such a good example of a company putting stock and putting their 100% and belief behind the talent. And Jordynne Grace is an example of that, because Jordynne continues to break boundaries and records in TNA. She is the first knockout to win the Call Your Shot gauntlet, which got her this match against Trinity. She was the first digital media champion, had a really fun feud with Matt Cardona when they were going back and forth in TNA last year when she held that title. She finally got her win against Deonna Purrazzo like halfway through last year, 2023, which is an opponent that still haunted Jordynne Grace to this day because she lost every single encounter she had with Deonna, and after 3 failed attempts, she finally got a win over her at Victory Road. So that was a beautiful thing. And then on the flip side of the story in the ring too, you have Trinity, who came in and just organically became a superstar immediately from her presence, from her mic work, the improvement of her in-ring ability, being able to pull out submissions that we haven't seen from her before. And in the short run that Trinity has had, she is a legend now, as Andrew was stating, because she had a trilogy with Deonna Purrazzo, who is like one of the top women, in my opinion, right now in this current day of women's wrestling. She got to face against the legendary Mickie James, and not many women can say that because Mickie is that girl, has been wrestling for a long time. She got to team with Awesome Kong and Gail Kim in that multi-woman match at the 1000th episode of Impact Wrestling. And again, she only gets to share that with Jordynne and a few other women who were in that match too. And with the rumor mill being that she is supposed to report back to WWE really soon, though on her Twitter, she wants a rematch with Jordynne. So who knows what's happening with all that? I have to say, both of these women, the stories that we got from pretty much, they were on the same path at the same time, because Trinity's debut also is when Jordynne came back from hiatus too, and when she took her break. And this was a beautiful story where these two were on a path which they collided, which ultimately led Jordynne Grace picking up the win against Trinity. And Jordynne Grace is your new TNA Knockouts champion. God, this match was so good. And already off to a good start that women's wrestling in 2024 is going to take off.
I gotta say, the potential for Grace against Giselle Shaw for that title now, the potential for Jordynne against Ash by Elegant, and those are just the top 2 that seem like likelihood since they received some attention for that division in this card. There's a lot of Kylan King is still floating around.
Oh yes, I'm ready for, now that we got her officially signed, I'm ready for round 2 of Jordynne versus Danny at some point too.
Round 3.
That's right, round 3.
They've wrestled before, and
I want them to fight forever.
I want to see Danny Luna march up those rankings a little bit to get to Jordynne Grace, so she can be like, "You've beat me before. I've been working. I'm here. I think I'm ready
got
again."
Some experience behind me. I'm coming for you.
And you also still have some pretty formidable foes in the ranks, like Tasha Steelz is still, and don't count her out. You have Giselle Shaw, as we talked about. I don't know how. Alicia Edwards.
Yeah. She's got the system now.
Yeah, and honestly, I would love to see Zaya Brookside at some point go up against Jordynne too, because those styles of matches would be so fun. And the Knockouts division is set to have such an incredible 2024. And I can confidently say, though, I'm hoping I don't have to eat crow when we revisit this pay-per-view down the line. But I can confidently say I'm not worried about the Knockouts division because TNA has consistently used them properly, has booked them properly, given them really fun stories in all this. And so I'm excited to see where the Knockouts division goes, especially in this title picture for them. Then we go from the Knockouts title picture to our men's title picture, because then we get to our main event for the Impact World Championship. Alex Shelley defending his title against the Feast or Fired winner of this match, who got a championship match, Moose. Jesus Christ, Sweet Dragoon on a cracker. Holy crap, man. 21 minutes of just sheer non-stop craziness. Holy crap, man. This was a good back and forth between both of them. And I honestly, as the match kept going, I honestly did not know who was going to walk out of this one as champion, because both of them brought everything they had to this match, man.
All I gotta say is, for my issues with Chop in certain matches, Moose, it's like getting hit with a cricket paddle on the flat side. His hands are so big. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't a slap to the chest. Like, it didn't even have that sound of a slap to the chest. It was like thuds. Like, leathery thuds against Alex Shelley's chest. So hard, and I loved watching Alex Shelley trying to figure out how to take down this like man mountain that he was facing off against. It was great. It was really good. I think it surprised me in a lot of ways.
This was, my goodness, the chops between the back and forth. Alex Shelley being able to have to work a little harder, but throwing Moose around the ring too is no small feat as well. What was it? It wasn't a cradle shock, but again, the ring apron, man, like the edge of the ring became the weapon of choice for a lot of these matches. Also, shout out to Alex Shelley pulling out one of my favorite spots in this match. He's like, "Oh, let me drink. I'm on the floor. Let me drink some water real quick." Sit back underneath the ring.
He hit the shell shock.
Yep.
Is it shell shock? Yeah, it's a shell shock, not culture shock, right? He hit that outside on the floor, and then he crawled over to get that water. Yeah.
It was so funny. What's under here? Oh, look, a little bottle of water. It's like,
It's one of those moments of like, were we supposed to see that? But either way,
I'm glad we did.
Yeah.
yeah, it was great. It was so funny. But yeah, this was a great match. It was, again, a great match, like they all were. And I agree, the hits that Shelley was taking from Moose were just, it was like resonating. You could hear them. You could feel them through the television. It was like, wow. I was like, I don't know how Shelley survived it. But going into this match, though, I had my suspicions because of the announcement of the new faction. I was like, okay, there we go. That told me right there that Moose was going to win this. And of course he did. But that doesn't make the match any less because the brutality was amazing. It's just, the moves were incredible. Everything that these two men did. Again, it was tearing each other apart any way they could. Because Shelley knew he had to. He was like, this guy is just a mountain. I gotta weaken him somehow, and that's how you do it. The sheer strength and power that Moose carries. Yeah, you gotta find a way around it. You got it. And Shelley tried. He did, and I'll give it to him. He tried his hardest, but in the end, the powerhouse just came down on him, and that was it. I was like, oof, man, it's gonna hurt tomorrow.
I gotta say they did a good job of. I talked about it in the predictions. I had thought that when Moose won this, that won the Call Your Shot Gauntlet, or not Call Your Shot Gauntlet, the Feast or Fired briefcase, and then Alex Shelley beat Josh Alexander. I thought Moose was going to take this title, but then as some of the matches and things happened in between then and lead up to this match, I thought Shelley might come out with it. And then they kept it going because obviously we saw the system come out, but then, so we're like, okay, now we're going to see the obvious distraction by the heel faction. But then Shelley, we forget that Shelley had two of his best friends there, so they came out to help. So then it was like, oh, we're going to see the flip around distraction, and then that's going to get him the win. And it was nice because they got away from that because they continued to wrestle for a good amount of time after those distractions.
Oh, yeah.
So it was almost like, okay, that was just because we thought you might expect it, so we got it out of the way. So now you're not sure. Are we going to go with what we can expect, a traditional kind of finish for this, or are you going to swerve us?
It was funny when Eddie and Brian came out to and save it, and it was Kushida came out and and literally shooed them back.
Yeah,
so funny. It was so funny. There were so many great moments in this whole evening, like little moments like that just added to it. It was one of the, and I agree with you. It was like, ooh, is this just? Are we gonna? Is he gonna win because shenanigans happened, or is he gonna win legitimately, or is someone gonna win legitimately, or is someone gonna win because shenanigans? And I like the fact that it was a clean win and not a shenanigans win, because then I would have been like, that's cheap. Save that for not your first pay-per-view, because I was really scared that's what was, because when they came out I was like, oh, is this gonna be did they really go here with that?
Yeah.
And then when they shoot him off, I was like, okay. Because you're right, they fought for quite a while after that, which I was very happy with. Even though I predicted Shelley to win this, I'm okay with Moose winning it, actually. I wasn't pissed off about it at all. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. It's funny, I think it's the theme of the evening, how everything's going in a different direction. And I like that. Like, even though they may not be my most favorite characters, I still like the fact that the good guys don't always win. And I like that.
I really like this match a lot. And again, there was not a single match on this entire card that made me think, oh, okay, this wasn't like the rest. Holy crap, man. I was just like, Final Resolution was cool for what it was when we had it, and we knew that going in. And while we didn't really necessarily doubt that Hard to Kill would be great, we did talk about, was like, all we're getting matches, but we're not really getting build up. Also, by the way, the video packages before most of these matches happened too, I was like, where were these during the clip show? But in hindsight, I'm glad that they waited until the pay-per-view to show us the knockouts one before Trinity and Jordan's match with like elements and this like iron sharpening iron narrative they were telling. I was like, so beautiful. But as we said before, Moose is our new Impact World Champion. And so the system comes out, they come and celebrate with Moose, like they're on the ramp and everything. And we're just like, oh, okay, so this is how, nope, hold up, wait a minute, what is happening? All of a sudden we get some music blasting. And I was like, wait a minute, what's happening? The crowd goes nuts. I was like, who's on the stage? What happened? We pan over to the stage and the big old Titantron, the music's hitting. We see red, and then all of a sudden, us and like the watch along on Patreon shows all of our reactions, but specifically me and Andrew's like, me and Andrew turned into 3-year-olds once again because Nick Nemeth's name pops up on that Titantron, and I was losing my mind. And you might be asking yourself, wait a minute, why does that name sound familiar? Because it is this man right here. Holy crap. Nick Nemeth pops up behind Moose. They have a stare down. Moose tries to take out Nick Nemeth. Nick Nemeth hits his finisher, which in the former company he was with was called the Zigzag. Don't know how he's going to call it here, but I don't care. So we're like, okay, he's a free agent, so he's going to be here for a little bit. He's probably just popping in for a couple matches because he's about to face David Finlay over in New Japan at New Beginnings in Osaka in February. But no, we got the best thing ever because he hops in the crowd. He celebrates with the crowd. He's wearing a tank top. And at first I was like, oh, wait, he's having trouble ripping off his tank top. Is he about to rip off his shirt and like most wrestlers do? He rips off the tank top he was wearing, and underneath is this TNA tank top. And we got confirmation that Nick Nemeth is signed to TNA. And oh my God, this was the big signing that was teased for the last couple of weeks that we were getting. Holy. All right, then Mikey, you gotta calm down because I'm about to lose my mind like I did last night.
This is what I wanted, but was afraid to hope to get, because I didn't want to have hope that this would happen for fear of I was like, no, it's not gonna happen. It's too much. Nick Nemeth, like, he is also someone who I feel like is so talented, so good. He is such a professional. He sells for everyone. He's a guy who has montages of him selling people's moves as the greatest way ever. Like this guy was a company man. He did whatever was asked of him, no matter what. He was always great at it. He was someone that deserved, I think, so much more than he got. And I feel like TNA is a place where Nick Nemeth can hold that TNA world title and be the respected world champion that he deserves to be, and that can make TNA world title like even more than it is. Like, he adds to the lineage with like Moose and Alex Shelley and all of the people that came before that. Like, he is the perfect caliber to be up there and like really step into and up with everything else that's happening in TNA. I love this so much. He's going to be so entertaining in everything that he does. Such a great addition to TNA. And the knockout title match was my match of the night. This was my moment of the night. This was my highlight of the night. I was so excited. It was such a great way to end the card, getting to have this be the big moment. Yeah, I can't wait to see where this goes. I would definitely not hate if Ryan got released from where he's at, or at least got a hall pass to come on over and play with his brother for a little while in TNA and maybe some of his other buddies. I'm excited for this. This could be, I think, this really, the possibilities of where TNA could take us with all the things that happened tonight were exciting.
Yeah, I'm really excited. And Will, I know you can't really speak much on Nick Nemeth because this is your real first introduction for them, but listen, I would like to think my word is pretty good and I'm pretty credible when it is, but let me tell you, when I tell you that you're going to enjoy Nick Nemeth wrestling, I will step down as the leader of the Bi-Conics if you are not satisfied with Nick Nemeth's wrestling ability. There are very few wrestlers I put my reputation on the line as a wrestling fan and a so-called wrestling expert, as I put that in air quotes. But Nick Nemeth is that dude, and it's not just hyperbole. I am excited for you to see how he wrestles. It's so good. And honestly, it's a smart move because we also got the announcement on social media that at the tapings for Snake Eyes, Nick Nemeth will be going up against Zachary Wentz. And honestly, that is the best opponent to showcase what Nick Nemeth can do because their styles are so similar. It's going to be so good. I'm so excited.
Yeah, of course, there's a part of me that has to like Nick Nemeth because he took so much inspiration from Shawn Michaels that I'm like, yeah, I see that. And I have to appreciate that because I'm such a Shawn Michaels fan. But also, he's one of those people, and I think I love when we get to know this about the wrestlers, is Nick Nemeth is a wrestling fan, and he genuinely enjoys the fact that he gets to be a professional wrestler. Like, it just gives you that extra appreciation and connection, and you just appreciate it for them that they get to do this stuff, and you appreciate it when they get appreciated by the places that they work. So yeah, he's just entertaining in everything that I've ever seen him in, and I'm so pumped for this to see who's the Nick Nemeth that we get in TNA.
I am super excited. Honestly, leading into Hard to Kill and then all the new people that we got for during the show, who's going to be signing to. The newest signees is Ash Bael again, Zaya Brookside, Nick Nemeth. And that's not counting all the people that we didn't even get to see at Hard to Kill. Kylan King, Sonny Kiss. We got to see Joe Hendry, which makes me happy to see that he's going to be sticking around for a little bit. And then you have the other people, like Diener and Khan, hanging out in the wings somewhere. I am super excited. I cannot wait to see all this, man. And you know what? With Nick Nemeth jumping in the audience, that's how Hard to Kill goes off the air. And what I love is that at the end, when we get the logo of TNA, I love that it's a nice little touch, and I appreciate it. It says, "We'll see you at the next event, No Surrender," and then the date for No Surrender, which is in February. So good. And then, of course, it was announced earlier in the week, but we got reiteration today that at the Snake Eyes taping this week, I'm not ready for Thursday, you guys. Holy crap. The people we're going to see on this first of the 2-week episodes that we're getting for the Snake Eye tapings is going to be Osprey, Okada, Grizzled Young Vets, and Vikingo. And I was just like, damn, TNA is just out here stomping on the necks of other promotions. Okay, so before we get into our ratings, I got to share this with the boys. I didn't tell them this yet, but earlier today, I was reviewing AEW Collision with one of our other hosts, Luis. And before we started recording, because I saw his video he did on TikTok talking about how TNA is also stomping on the necks of other competition. He actually sat down, not knowing who anybody was, he knows some of the wrestlers, but not really knowing all the history behind leading into Hard to Kill like we've been doing for the last couple months or so. And he is like, all right, I gotta start watching TNA because it is a fan. We're converting our hosts, you guys. That is a success to me. Like, we're slowly gonna get everyone to watch TNA. Yay. I am so excited because if this is how we start 2024 with TNA, I cannot wait to see what other crazy stuff they end up doing for the whole entire 2024. And even though No Surrender and Sacrifice are going to be the monthly specials, this is how Hard to Kill is. I'm already looking forward to the next tentpole of Rebellion in April, man. Holy crap. Oh my gosh.
I'm excited for the weekly shows too. They do a good job of mixing in these like after pay-per-view recordings that we get to see along within like more of the regular weekly show stuff. And for the most part, especially since Bound for Glory, they've done a really good job of building up a lot of their people. And I feel like TNA does a pretty good job of keeping a small locker room. Like, they've got their core group of people, and that's all of their main wrestlers. So we get to see a lot of them, and people get chances to shine. And then they just spice it up by bringing in these other wrestlers, like this deal with AAA, opening the doors for wrestlers from other countries like Japan and Europe and stuff like that. So I think they do a really good job of mixing those flavors in. So I'm pumped. I think we could see some really big stuff, especially with this being the return of TNA. I think they're gonna try and go. They're gonna try and go for some big things, but it feels like they're doing them in really smart ways for longevity and to really do well by the company and the performers and the fans. I'm excited for TNA. I think 2024 is going to be the year of TNA.
I am speechless. There's always small moments. It's only really been the last 3 years I have gotten super invested into wrestling. And honestly, that was partially due to the fact that there was nothing else to do when the world shut down and we were all stuck in our houses for a good chunk of 2020 and 2021. And wrestling became that thing. And I shared this on multiple reviews, and I've shared this on our podcast too. And stay tuned because there's going to be a video coming out sometime this week. It's something new we're going to try out here. But having that during the pandemic, and also the story behind why it meant so much to me, because this was something that I shared with my grandma before her passing. And so honestly, if it wasn't for her, I don't think Bi-Conics 2.0 would exist as it is now. But because of that, I'm super excited. But yeah, so that video is coming out to go into more detail, but I have never felt this excited about a company the way that TNA has made me excited. Going from when I started watching religiously 2 years ago and to follow everything up to this point, and you fighting off being called little indie promotion and no one taking Impact and TNA seriously. If they continue to show up and show out for 2024, I'm gonna put this out there. It's not just WWE, AEW. Both of those companies better watch out because TNA is coming in, and just like the pay-per-view title, and like Eric Young said at the beginning, TNA is hard to kill. They're here to stay, and they bet WWE and AEW better be ready because they might be the mega corporations, but this little indie promotion, as people are calling it, they're coming out swinging for the fences. Oh, yeah. And I have to say, for Hard to Kill, they knocked this out the mother tucking park, man.
Yeah.
Holy craps. All right, now the moment of truth. We've got to the end of this, talked about everything. Now comes the tough part. We gotta rate this thing. I am going to go last because I think I'm going to shock the world with my rating. I don't want to make somebody go, but I'll go whoever wants. Okay, Andrew, go for it.
All right. So I thought this was a great card. I loved a lot of it. There wasn't ever a part that felt like a low point for me. Like I said, my high point was the Nemeth signing. awesome way to do it. Favorite match was Trinity versus Jordan. I loved all the video packages, and they played them really well to lead into each match. It had me feeling like we were watching the video package to set up that match. Like, it just flowed really smoothly. So all in all, when we watched Bound for Glory, which was my pay-per-view, my favorite pay-per-view of 2023, I gave that a 9. For this was up there with it. Wasn't quite for me as monumental as Bound for Glory, just there was something about that. But this was big, and I think where this takes us, if TNA can hold on to this momentum and the things that they're setting up, and if there's still more to come, there's a lot going forward for them. I gave this card an 8.8 out of 10. It was awesome. It was up there. TNA is a good student, so if this was a grade, I might bump them up to that A for doing what they're doing. But yeah, this was a top tier 8.8 card for me. If you have ever liked TNA or Impact, you should go and watch Hard to Kill, because yeah, TNA is back, and they're here. They're here for blood. I love it. I'm down. Let's go.
That's awesome. 8.5 from Andrew. Will, we're gonna come to you. 8.8. Sorry. Even better. All right, Will, we come to you next. What you got for Hard to Kill?
I gave it a 9. I thought it was consistent from beginning to end. It flowed perfectly. I think, and I agree, because I think I gave Bound for Glory a 9 as well. And I thought it was pretty comparable. I thought it was solid. It kept me energized. It kept me interested. It kept me like wanting more, which I think is what a good paper should do. It should always leave you wanting more as well. And I wanted more. And it didn't feel as long as it was, because I think it's just because it just kept going and the energy just kept building and you just went with it. Yeah, my match of the night is Trinity and Jordan Grace. I don't know Nick, but I'm excited to find out about him. I'm excited about finding out about all the new signups. Anyone that I don't know, if they're coming on, I'm excited, because all it's going to do is just add more. I agree. It's just going to add more to their stock. Honestly, this was just a really great pay-per-view. It was so exciting, so awesome. It was like second watch worth, because I went back and had to watch the 2 matches that I missed, but then I kept watching, and I went ahead and finished watching it. So I enjoyed it all the way through. So 9 for me.
All right, so then that just leaves me. I give this a 2. No, just kidding.
Whoa!
No, absolutely not. If I ever said that, I need y'all to take me out.
Mike is going full heel.
No. So I want to say I personally believe there has to be an extra little ingredient for me to give something 10 out of 10, right? And unfortunately, I feel that if we did a better job building up the matches we ended up getting, even if it was sprinkling them through the 4 weeks of clip shows that we got, I feel that it would have gave it 10 out of 10. But outside of that, promos before a lot of these matches did everything with the video packages. The countdown was the right mixture of good wrestling, fun moments, and just that is for me a prime example of how you do a pre-show before a pay-per-view. You make me care, and it was different because they didn't spend every waking moment be like, all right, let's talk about this match, see how we got here next. No, they focused on the matches we got. The Joe Hendry bit with AJ Francis killed me. It was so good. Then when we got to the main card, just from beginning to end, from Eric Young's monologue at the beginning, reintroducing TNA and Hard to Kill, from the opening match all the way to our main event, and the moment we got with Nick Nemeth is officially now in TNA. I also agree Trinity and Jordan is my match of the night, but that is a really hard thing to pick because every single match on this card, you can make an argument of why it deserves to be a favorite match and everything. But with that all being said, even though I wish we had more story built towards this, that is something that I can bypass because, again, TNA swung for the fences. They knocked it out of the ballpark and into the stratosphere with this one. And I don't care what anyone says. I am giving Hard to Kill a 9.8 out of 10 for me. And this is the highest grade I have ever given a single pay-per-view since starting Bi-Conics. And that's really tough for me because I gave a 9.5 to Bound for Glory, and that was also really good. There is an argument to be made because Bound for Glory and Hard to Kill, if this is the level of quality we're going to be getting for the tentpole pay-per-views for TNA, I will stand on my soapbox with my other compatriots here, and I will shout to the rooftops that I need people to start watching TNA because they're coming, they're hungry, they got nothing to lose at this point. So everybody better watch out because, oh my goodness, this is a prime example of why I love professional wrestling. Yes, internet and the people who says it's fake, you know that? I'm like, of course I know it's fake, but you can't tell me after watching Hard to Kill, you gotta admit that is some amazing work. Oh, I am so ready for the weekly shows to come back and the next set of pay-per-views we got for TNA to lead into the road to Rebellion. I'm so pumped for this, but yeah, 9.8 out of 10 for Hard to Kill. This, I was smiling from beginning to end, and then it took me a couple hours after we logged off to let the adrenaline wear off so I can actually go to sleep because, again, this is why I love professional wrestling, and it just made me smile because I was like, this is why we do the things we do, man, like for reals. Oh my goodness. Gentlemen, we spent 2.5 hours reviewing this pay-per-view, and honestly, I love all 9 boys that we have here at the Bi-Conics, but I wouldn't have it any other way, and I'm so happy that you are my TNA co-host because it was a journey to get here because when we started Bi-Conics, I was doing TNA and NXT by myself as the sole reviewer, and then Will jumped on, and then we got you, Andrew, and honestly, and my other co-hosts, I love y'all. Like, each team brings something different, but this is probably my favorite crew to review with because TNA constantly is giving us good wrestling, and I'm hardly ever disappointed with TNA. Oh my goodness. Oof. But that brings us to the end. Andrew, congratulations. Y'all made it through your first live stream pay-per-view review, guys. And that is no easy task because, again, we spent 2.5 hours on this thing.
And we're about to be back here next month.
Oh, yes. So we're going to be back with the TNA boys. We'll be back for another live stream pay-per-view review towards the end of February when we cover No Surrender. I'm so excited. But that is going to be it for this live stream. Now to do the housekeeping. You can see an edited version of this review pop up later this week, but also make sure to hit that subscribe and bell notification on YouTube and check out everything else we got going on. We pretty much review almost all of the weekly shows. We do all the pay-per-view reviews when we can. And we also have some fun out of context shorts that you can check out there. Also stay tuned, like I said, because we're going to be uploading different kinds of videos that outside of our normal reviews to let you get a little sneak peek behind the curtain and get to know us a little bit better. So I'm excited for that video to come out. If you want to get up to date with everything, make sure to follow us at BC WrestlePod all over the social medias. We have a Patreon where you can subscribe to see our exclusive watch-alongs and exclusive never-before-seen content. So if you want to watch our reactions and watch 3 grown men act like little 5-year-olds during Hard to Kill, you need to go subscribe to the Patreon and watch that. It's such a good time. And then, of course, you might be asking yourself, what if I can't dedicate time to watch everyone's beautiful faces? I'm glad you asked because we also have our audio podcast version, not only of our podcast episode of the Bi-Conics Wrestling Podcast, but we also have the audio versions of the reviews as well. So it doesn't matter what your favorite podcasting network is, subscribe and just listen to us and let our faces for radio take you on a journey. It is a beautiful thing. But that is going to be it from myself, Will, and Andrew, and as well as the rest of the Bi-Conic boys. Remember, Take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, stay Bi-Conic, you beautiful bastards. We'll be back in 2 weeks with the next pay-per-view review when we review the Royal Rumble for WWE. Listen, this is a Big Four pay-per-view for that company, and it's about to get turned. Until then, we'll see you later. But as always, tough for now.